Hi, I'm Marcel, and welcome to me screaming into the void mostly about books. On this Translation Thursday, where I talk about books translated into English. And today I'm going to talk about a book I read for my project of reading a book from every country in the world. There is a playlist somewhere. I'll put a playlist somewhere. And this book is from my choice from Bulgaria, and Nine Rabbits by Virginia Zaharieva. And this is a dual story in this sense. It's the same life, but told at two different times of her life. One when she was a child and was sent to live with her abusive grandmother. And again, there is a jump in time when she is a grown-up and she is struggling, figuring out her life. And that is in part due to the changes that was happening in Bulgaria from the 1960s when she was a child to the 1990s when she was a grown-up. This is the books I absolutely love because there are aspects in this book that just made me want sort of, what does this mean? Let me figure it out. This book has a theme, in a sense, where they have a lot of recipes in the book. Some of them are sort of traditional dishes, and some of them are more modern dishes. So it's not like a very specific type of dish. So I kept sort of wondering, well, what does this mean? And it made me think about this book that I read and also loved, Like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquirel. This is about a young woman who is told by her parents that she is not allowed to get married to the man she loves, because as the youngest daughter, it is her job to stay with the family and be the chef in one sense and take care of everyone. And then she has to sort of see her sister marry the man that she loves. And it's a bit difficult to see because of the graphics. But this book also is filled with sort of ingredients and recipes and ways to prepare dishes, because that is her job, that is her role, and that is how she has received love as a child, was learning these dishes from her aunt, but also the way she then shows love. And there is a form of magical realism in this book where what she feels when she makes the dishes is what people who eat her dishes end up feeling. So, for example, there is a kind of funny scene in one sense in the book where she has made all of the food for the wedding between her sister and the man she loves. And during the wedding feast, everyone starts crying because they suddenly become so sad, because she was sad when making that food. And I have talked about this book when I did the Biblio's 100 Women in Translation books, where this was one of them. And I talked about how in this book, the recipes that are shown throughout the book is an example, or can be read as an example of the main character's struggle with culture, in the sense that she is both grown because of the culture, where the culture is very important to her through the recipes. She talks about sort of culture in the sense that she clearly loves making food. She takes such pride in these recipes and her knowledge of creating these recipes. At the same time, the culture is what is stopping her from being happy, because it's culture that says you are not allowed to be married. It's your job to stay at home and take care of everyone. So I read the recipes in this book as as a way of illustrating the complexity around culture and tradition, which can be both good and bad for the individual. And that's sort of when I read this book, what my first reading was that these recipes was a form of talking about culture, especially considering that the book so much reflects the differences in culture and in the country from the 1960s and the 1990s. But at the same time, if that had been the reading of this book, I don't think that you would have so many, in lack of a better term, international dishes. There is a dish here that is about Chinese rice and basmati rice, and very clearly about how these aren't traditional or only traditional dishes. So I kept thinking, okay, what could then the dishes sort of represent within this reading? So there is a quote from the book. "I don't have the guts to leave my husband. A heavy patriarchal fossil is stuck in my throat. I am afraid of the responsibility to destroy, of being a bad girl. This is how culture is born." So this shows a lot of how I don't think that this is about culture in the sense of the dishes is a result of culture, the way cooking recipes can be handed down. I think this is more about social roles and the act of cooking. The only time in this book where it isn't a woman who does the cooking, the man who is cooking is also sort of presented as a form of Prince Charming. And I don't mean Prince Charming as in he looks good and then turns bad. He is genuinely the best guy in the book. And he is also the only guy that cooks. So it made me think that maybe when she shows these recipes, she isn't talking about the recipes themselves, but more the way women and culture talks about the act of cooking and the way women are socialized into certain acts as a way of showing their love and devotion, because that looks different for women than for men. At least that's my reading. If you think you have another theory, please let me know in the comments down below. And thank you for listening to me screaming into the void.